Hello! It's cold, so I'm wearing my pink with brown teddy bear robe, guys. This is happening right now. And, oh my god, my book is literally on the wrong thing. I'm doing the Flash, not Arrow right now. Anyway, the Flash premiered on Tuesday, which was, let me see, October 18th, because it's October 20 right now. And the title of it, The Flashpoint Season 3, Episode 3, titled Magenta. At first, when I first saw the title, I was like, what could possibly be, what? Based on the title, I was like, what could this possibly be about, you know? Because when you look at the other titles, like, Episode 1 is Flashpoint, Episode 2 is Paradox. Put them together, Flashpoint, Paradox, right? And then Episode 4 is literally titled The New Rogues. Episode 5 is literally titled Monster. So, maybe we might be dealing with, like, a monster metahuman or something, right? And, of course, the Rogues. Episode 7 is literally titled Killer Frost, and as we saw in the end of episode 1? Yeah, the end of episode 1... No, not episode 1, episode 2. At the end of episode 2, we saw that Caitlyn got, ice powers. I can't even pronounce it anymore. It's horrible. So I'm figuring episode 7 is all about her, right? And oh my god, my eyes are like straight up swollen. Like, I actually poked my eyes. I was like rubbing my eyes a little bit, trying to wake up, and I actually poked both my eyes, and it hurt like crazy, and I was crying because of the pain, and now my eyes are like straight up like swollen, like cry swollen, you know? You know when you cry like crazy and your eyes just get all puffy? This is what's happening. And I only cried because I poked my eyes. Oh, great. I look like crud. But anyway, I was very curious when I saw the title Magenta because I was like, what on earth could this episode possibly be about? But anyway, we have this awkward date between Barry and Iris, which pretty much gets interrupted by, like, I think like a robbery nearby, and then also a phone call from Cisco telling them to come back to Star Labs, and they come back and they're like, oh my god, a breach opened, right? And they're like, why did you open a breach? It's like, we didn't open a breach. And then it's like, something's coming through it and all that stuff, and all of a sudden, Harry comes back through the breach from Earth 2 to Earth 1, and he brings his daughter Jessie along, but not only do we get to see, Harry and his daughter Jessie comes back with super speed, because apparently, remember that time when, I forgot what episode in particular, but, they tried to keep Wally and Jessie safe, so they put them in the Braille room, and they left the Braille room when, they were trying to restore Barry's powers, and both Jessie and, Wally got hit by the dark matter blast when they were restoring Barry's powers in the last season. Yeah, apparently that affected Jessie while she went back to Earth 2 with her dad, and she comes back to Earth 1 with her dad with super speed powers. And of course you can see the look of disappointment on Wally's face because he's like, I was with Jessie. I also got hit by that dark matter blast. How come I don't have super speed like her? What? WTF, right? You could see it in Wally's face. It's kind of sad. But anyway, Wells apparently comes to Earth 1 with Jessie because he's hoping he could convince everyone there to convince Jessie not to become a superhero and not use her powers like Barry, you know? Tell her how dangerous it is or something. Try to convince her not to be a superhero because the moment she found out she had super speed, she wanted to be like Barry. She wanted to be a superhero, you know what I mean? And so the reason why Wells came back to Earth 1 with Jessie is to ask them to convince her not to, right? Which I thought was really interesting, that she has super speed. I've been looking forward to seeing Jessie with super speed for the longest time. I mean, we got our taste of Wally West as Kid Flash in the Flashpoint Paradox timeline. So that was just beautiful, and he was in costume and everything, but to see Jessie with super speed now, oh, bestow my heart right now. Because, I don't know if you know this, but like I said before when we first met Jessie in the previous season, she is based on the comic book character from DC Comics known as Jessie Chambers. And, in the comics, Jessie Chambers, first used the superhero name Jessie Quick, and then later on took on the name Liberty Bell, She was the daughter of Golden Age superheroes Johnny Quick and Liberty Bell. Obviously, she took her mother's name second time around. And she also inherited both of her parents' powers. In the comics, Jessie Chambers was affiliated with the Justice Society of America. Like I said, she's the daughter of two Golden Age superheroes, so of course, Justice Society of America. She was associated with the Teen Titans and the Justice League and the Conglomerate or something like that. I don't know what. But she's known as Jessie Quick, Liberty Bell, and at one point she was known as the Flash. And like I said, in the comics, she developed the powers for both her superpowered Golden Age superhero parents, which was superhuman speed and strength. And they're not sure, but they said there's a 50-50 of the fact that she might have inherited her mother's ability to fly using subsonic bursts. Because apparently her mother, Liberty Bell, the original Liberty Bell, she could fly by using subsonic bursts. You know, when you use like a supersonic burst and it like propels you up and flies. They're not sure if she could do that, but they said that she did inherit her mother's powers, so maybe. But anyway, Jessie has become a supporting character in the Flash series, in the comic books, and she's actually known as, in the comics, as Wally West's partner, Jessie Quick. So, I'm really looking forward to that. And also, where else has she appeared? Apparently, the only live action you ever see of Jessie Quick is, in fact, in this TV show. And, in Earth 2, her full name is Jessie Chambers Wells. So obviously her mother's maiden name is Chambers. It'd be really cool if her mother is actually Golden Age Liberty Bell. That would be actually really cool. And if that's possible, I want that to happen. I really do. But anyway, hang on. I'm gonna like talk with a little bit about Wally's situation. You know, you could see in his face the moment Jessie showed up with her super speed that he was, you know, upset and obviously a little jealous because he's like, again, he was with Jessie when the dark matter hit her, because it hit both of them. They were together, right? And she ends up with super speed and like he does not, and it's like, hang on. Sorry about that. I thought I heard something. But anyway, he has a conversation with the dad, because of course, freaking Detective West talks to Wally, you know, you don't need super speed to be a superhero. I mean, Barry, he did his contribution to help the world even before he got his powers, and he's trying to explain to him, and there's also a moment where Jessie and Wally talk to each other, right? Because this time she wanted to talk to him. And, he found out how she got her powers, how her powers manifested, because apparently, there was a moment where she was at home and, all of a sudden a car was coming at her and she panicked and she saw, like, someone about to get run over and she just ran, right? And apparently that gave Wally it made Wally get this amazing decision to literally jump in front of traffic and wait for a car to hit him. And hopefully his powers will arrive, right? And of course, thankfully Jessie saved him, right? And you could hear Barry yelling at Wally like, "What were you thinking? You tried to jump into traffic to see if you had powers? What's wrong with you?" Right? And all that stuff. And it's like, I get why Wally's upset. Because, you know, if I was Wally and I was literally right next to someone and we both got hit by a dark matter blast while they were restoring Barry's speed, and she comes out with powers and I don't, I would be kind of jealous, but at the same time, I would not jump into traffic. It's like, are you crazy? I know some superheroes in, like, animation, live action, and even the comic books, their powers randomly manifest when, like, something happens, right? Like, dire moment happens, all of a sudden their power manifests, right? But it doesn't always work all the time that way, okay, Wally? Putting yourself in danger doesn't always manifest your powers. I'm just saying. If you have powers, anyway. We all know in Flashpoint you did, but we don't know about this new timeline, so stop it! But anyway, elsewhere, we see this girl with a mother, they're watching TV, and this evil father already. The moment he came home, he's like, where's dinner and all that stuff. It's like, he's obviously he's obviously either physically abusive, verbally abusive, or both, right? Because he's just straight up mean. And then you could tell because what I'm guessing is his wife is all scared. It's like, oh my god, I'll get the dinner ready right away. And she runs and flinches and all that stuff. You could tell that he's abusive in one, two, or both, in either one or both ways. And then he starts getting mad at the girl that's sitting there. She literally has magenta hair. So I'm only guessing maybe that's the reason why the title's name is Magenta, because this girl's hair is literally like magenta highlights and everything. But anyway, her name apparently is Frankie Kane, and apparently she's a foster kid because the guy that came in, he's all like, I take you in, you had nowhere to go. So apparently this girl's a foster kid. And he starts, like, verbally abusing her, right? And all that stuff. And all of a sudden, this girl, Frankie, all of a sudden, it's like she had a split personality. Because all of a sudden, her eyes start glowing. And she's like, Frankie's not here anymore. And all of a sudden, she ends up developing a metahuman ability. And all of a sudden, the power she gets, pretty much, she ends up lifting what seems to be a lamppost from outside the house into the house and knocking that foster father of hers right there in the living room, right? And I looked her up, and apparently, like, Frankie Kane is in the comics, as well as that split personality of hers, which apparently his name is Magenta, right? I looked her up, and apparently in the comics, Magenta, aka Frankie Kane, who does exist in the comics, was apparently a one-time girlfriend of Wally West in the comic books, and apparently gained magnetic powers in the comics, which unfortunately killed her family. And since she had no knowing of what to do in her life, she became a villain, and she ended up being part of a cult and then the New Rogues before reforming herself. And apparently Magenta's powers are apparently, in detail, she can generate and control magnetic fields, which she could use to move, lift, and manipulate different metals, right? And she also could focus her powers into blasts of concussive magnetic force that could literally shatter steel or fire electromagnetic pulses to pretty much disrupt electronic systems. And she can concentrate her magnetic powers into protective shields that pretty much repels any metals and many physical assaults, which is pretty cool. And she can also surround herself in an aura of magnetism that apparently has the equal polarity to the Earth's own geomagnetic field. So which means she can cause the Earth to repel her upward, therefore giving her the ability to fly by magnetic levitation. And that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty sick, right? But here in the TV show, she's a teenage orphan girl who has a dissociative identity disorder, and she had metahuman powers in the alternate Flashpoint timeline before Flash restored it, and she got her powers again by Dr. Alchemy, and she ends up developing a darker split personality named Magenta. And while he comes home, she gets revenge on his verbal, and I'm guessing also physical abuse, by putting him in a hospital by literally putting a light post through the house and landing it on him. And he ends up in the hospital, right? And I thought that was pretty crazy because, karma, I mean, he's obviously verbally abusive. He's probably also physically abusive, judging by the reaction of the wife, right? The foster mother. And so what comes around goes around, but this darker split personality is really dangerous. And I am running out of time, so I'll see you in a part 2 video to get more into Magenta and what else happened in this episode. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye!